morning. Thank you for coming out so early. We're excited to offer this website training with Adventist Church Connect. It's going to be streamed. My name is Tammy Fisher, first name. I'm the Communication Director for the conference. And Brian Young is hiding out there. There he is. He's waving. He's the Assistant Communication Director for the conference. And he's going to be running things in the back. And then Lonny Cook, I'm sorry, I don't say that. I'm always wrong. It's Lonny Nelson. I know a Lonny Cook. Lonny Nelson works with Adventist Church Connect, and they offer free websites for every church and every school. So if you guys don't have a website, they offer free ones. And here's the really cool support stuff. They offer free web support, which is phenomenal and expensive and wonderful that they offer that free support for us for the free websites. So Lonny, are you there?
I am.
Yay. For some reason he's having webcam issues this morning, but so there's his photo. So that you guys know who he is. We planned to have him on the webcam this morning, but it just wasn't going to happen. So there he is, and you'll know who at least you'll see who he is, and you'll be able to hear it. So that's a wonderful thing. But I wanted to start with prayer. I think what we do is so vitally important, because people can't know what's going on and what's happening unless we're showing them and telling them. And so I'm so excited that you guys are here, giving of your time and your talents to do this very important work. So let's have a quick prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing these people safely here to the conference office to take this website training and the photography training later this afternoon. And just thank you for their gifts and their talents and their willingness to volunteer the efforts for you, because we love you, Jesus. We want you to come soon, and we want to tell everybody about you. So bless this seminar and this workshop, and may our efforts be fruitful. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Lonny, it's all yours.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you could make it today. I'm glad we could all be here together to, learn a little bit more about websites and what we have to offer. This is truly an amazing tool. The North American Division has had this in place for a number of years now, and it's just, like Tammy said, it's phenomenal. This is an amazing piece of technology at your disposal, and I hope that you'll take advantage of it. It's mind-boggling to think that it's completely free to the churches. The North American Division is picking up the tab for you, so it is already paid for, and it's just an incredible tool. The websites that we offer are completely and totally capable of being whatever you want them to be. You have full control over the site. So here I'm on a demo site. I'm already logged in as an administrator, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through some of the things that are possible with Adventist Church Connect. To do that, I'm going to actually walk you through what we call modules. They're plugins that you can just turn on your websites, and it gives your website more functionality. So to do that, I'm going to just actually take you to where we can turn those on. We'll see the list of all the different modules that are there. So I'm going to go to Modules Configuration, and I have two lists. I have an upper list, which are modules that are already turned on and they're active on my website. And then I have a lower list, which are modules that are not turned on. Now, obviously, this is a demo site, so there's a couple things on here that you wouldn't have on your church site. Ads would be one of them, and then jobs and resumes would be another one. But most of the rest of these you would have on your site. So I think what I'll do is I'm just going to kind of run down the list and just explain what each one of these do. Also, as we're going through this, if you've got questions, if we can keep them, if it's just one or two, that's fine. Go ahead and raise your hand. If we get a lot of questions during the webinar or during this presentation, we may want to wait and maybe have a question and answer time at the end. We'll just kind of feel how it goes. Now, I'm not able to see you, Brian. You turned off the webcam, which is fine. But if there is a question, somebody will need to verbally tell me that there's a question on the floor. I'm open to answering questions. This is your time to learn, and I'm all about making sure that you understand what you need to understand. So we're going to kind of move kind of quickly through this stuff. I'm not going to cover everything thoroughly. Like Tammy said, we offer free support. That means that you can call us, you can email us, you can use the ticket system. We have a help website, so there's lots of help available to you. But we're certainly available if you ever have questions about your website in the future. So if we kind of touch on something that piques an interest and you're curious about how to do that, feel free to give us a call at a later date. We also, during breaks, I'm going to have a break halfway through so we can kind of stretch and stuff. If you have questions during the break, if you want to come close to the camera and talk with me, we can answer some questions that way as well. So anyway, we're going to talk about some of the main features, some of the modules of the website, just to give you an idea of what's possible. So the first one on the list is Adventist Church News. Basically, that's a module that allows you to write news articles for your church, your local church. And when you do that, it's automatically shared with the entire network of churches. What will typically happen is it goes up to the conference level. The conference can then share it, and it's shared with all the churches in your whole area and up to the union office. The union office, if they see that that news item is really juicy and really important, they can share it with all their conferences below them as well as the division. And the conferences can then share it with all their churches. So news can actually spread through the system quite well. So that's church news. I'm not going to really go into that or show it to you, but just know that it's there, and if you want to learn about it, give me a call. Calendar of events, it is exactly what it is. It is a calendar, a full-function calendar. You can add events to your calendar. If you were here right at the beginning, just before we started, we were actually looking at some of the calendar on the school website that we were working on. It's a full-function calendar. You can add events to it. There's categories, lots of functionality built into it. So that's a great option. Obviously, that's probably already turned on your website by default. Just as a side note, there are some people that don't, they've already used a different calendar system and they want to continue using that other calendar system, like Google Apps. Google Apps is a really good system, and they have a calendar that comes with that. There are some people that prefer to use the Google Apps calendar because they've used it in the past and they're familiar with it. They've already got stuff on it. They don't want to have to redo all that work. So it is possible to use a different calendar rather than our own calendar system. Just know that these websites that we provide you, while we provide lots of options and tools, you don't have to use all these options and tools. There's other options and other tools, and we would love for you to experiment and play with those other things and build your website in a way that works best for you. So, don't feel bad about calling us up and saying, I don't like your calendar. It's all right. We take it with a grain of salt. The devotional module is literally that. It's a module that you can create a daily devotional. In fact, we've already got a set of yearly devotionals already in place. You can choose that. Or you can use your own devotionals. It makes no difference. There's one for every single day of the year, so you would have that available to you as well. Features is kind of an interesting animal. It allows you to either do text, images, or a combination of text and images, and you can create random content for a page. So I had a website, and we wanted to highlight certain young adults and provide a picture of them with their name. And so what we did is we used the features module, and on the home page we placed the little token to pull that feature in. And basically what it does is it randomly goes and gets one of those photos and one of the names and displays it in one particular place on the website. So when you first go to the website, the home page, there's a photo and a name of a person. And the next time you come to the home page, that image would be a different person with their name. So each time you come, it randomly picks one person and puts it in that spot for you. So that's kind of how features works. You can use it in other ways as well. We use it for various reasons. It's a really diverse module. It can be used in a lot of different ways. So if you've got a specific need and you're not sure how to accomplish that, give us a call, and it may be something we want to use the features for. News, this is a module that you would not have on your site, so we're going to skip over that. Notices configure. At the bottom of your site, we have this legal notice and privacy policy. In there, it's got some legal information that complies with, is it COPA? Anyway, yeah, there's some legal things that the General Conference has written for us, and by going into the notices configure, you can actually inject the appropriate information for your church for your website. So this isn't just a generic text. It actually has, who the webmaster is and what the address of the church is and all that kind of stuff within the legal and notice area. So photo gallery, we're going to get into that a little bit later. But basically it allows you to create a gallery of photos. That's going to be towards the end of our time together here. We're going to be moving towards talking about photos and how to put photos on your website, things like that. Prayer request. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a place or a module where people can actually submit prayer requests, and that can be handled in a number of different ways. Those prayer requests, if you desire, can be placed on the website for everybody to see. As an administrator, you have the choice to just allow it to be there. You have a choice to allow it to be there only after it's been approved, or you have the choice of saying, no, we're not going to even go there. They can submit their prayer request, and it'll go to my prayer team automatically. So that's a really nice feature for websites, for the churches especially. The next one down is turned on by default. This is RSS Digest. RSS stands for Really Simple Syndication. Basically, what that is somebody can provide content on a website and make that available with an RSS feed so that you can grab that and you can pull it into an RSS reader or something like that. In this case, we can pull it into the website and actually use their content to supplement our own content. And we have that on a number of pages or a number of websites already by default. I'm going to take us to the home page really quick. Now this is in Spanish, I believe. This is Family First, and this is The Bible Says. So these are RSS feeds written in Spanish, written by Adventists, specifically geared for non-Adventists, so that it takes out that Adventist lingo, but it still has our doctrine in there. But these are two feeds that are brought in. We have these in English, and we have this one in French as well. So there's lots of opportunities for extra content to be added to your site. So when we click on one of these, it actually looks like it's still your site. Everybody would think that this is still your website, although there's some extra information at the bottom that tells us where it actually originally came from. So give credit where credit is due. All right, so going back, so that's RSS Digest. That's where we can bring stuff in and make it available on the website. RSS Feed, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. So instead of bringing it in, this allows us to send our own stuff out. So we could actually set up an RSS feed going out so that people can subscribe to it and view it. Now here's a good example of that. This is my church's website. I've got a section on my website called News and Announcements. It's actually a page on my site under Resources, I believe. Yeah, News. So I can come here and I can add a new page to my website. And as soon as I do that, or to this area, when I add a new page underneath News, it's automatically added as an RSS feed, and people can subscribe to that. This is what a typical subscription button would look like, the icon. People can subscribe to that automatically and automatically be updated as soon as I submit a new story or something like that. But I've also turned around and pulled that into my website through the RSS digest. So I RSS feed it out, RSS digest it back in, and display it on my home page as well. So when I add something in my website, it shows up on my home page for that section, for that news area. So that's what RSS feed would do. So feed and digest working together there. All right, a shortcut redirector config. That's a really kind of a nice little feature. It's becoming a little more obsolete now, but you could actually create a term. So let's pretend you're having a Revelation seminar at your church, and you want people to be able to go to your website, and rather than going to your main page of the website, you want them to be able to instead of being on the home page, you want them to immediately go into a page that's kind of deep in your site somewhere, like this. So you want them to be able to get to this page, but you don't want them to have to know all of this information to get there, and you don't want them to have to click home and then that button and that button and that button. You want them to get there really fast. So you can set up the shortcut redirector config, and you can put in a term called Revelation, and then you tell it what page to go to, this page, and then you can simply provide this as your link. So it would be, mychurch.org/Revelation, and immediately they would land on the correct page. So that's the shortcut redirector config. It really does shorten things up. It's great for if you're printing postcards or something like that. So here's something interesting. I think I mentioned this, but these are active modules already turned on and running on our website. They're in the upper list. The lower list is actually turned off. They're not active. They can be at any time, but right now they're just kind of hibernating. And like I said, the ads is one of those modules that you would not have on your site. Article categories, I don't even know what that is. It's something that somebody's been playing with, so that's something you won't have on your site. Calendar import, that is something we're working on providing for you. That's going to allow you to be able to look at your conferences calendar and be able to grab important information from that and automatically put it on your calendar, and vice versa. The conference then can also do the same. The conference can look at the church's calendars and see what's important. Now, you as a church have the opportunity to decide, I want to share this with the conference, or I don't want to share it with the conference. So if you don't want to share it, you just don't check the box. If you do want to share it, you check a certain box, and then the conference can then see that and decide, oh, that's really cool. We need to add that to our calendar. So that's how that works. And then the conference in turn could potentially share that with its network, and it could go up to the union and down to the churches, and et cetera, et cetera. So it could also spread, kind of like the news module did, kind of spread like wildfire if it's really a really cool event that's happening. Categories is another one that's, I don't know what it is. I've never seen it before. I've never played with it, so we'll ignore that. Email newsletters. This is a really good one if you have a newsletter that you send out regularly, particularly if you're doing a mailing, an actual physical mailing through the post office, and you want to reduce the cost. This is a great option. If you're already doing email newsletters, this may also be a good option for you. A lot of times, being able to do that costs money if you're doing a more professional service. This will save you some money and allow you to do what you're doing. So jobs and resumes, that one's not going to be on your list. Media player is one that you will find in your list, but it's not one that I typically would recommend. It's a little bit antiquated, and it's not as great functioning as it should be. It was something that was kind of put together quickly for our by our programmers. We had a sudden need for something like that, and they just put something together, and it's just kind of stuck. There are many other kinds of players that you can actually use on your site besides this built-in one. So if you want to explore that further, give us a call. We can help you, decide if this is a good option or what other options are good for you. I've got some other options that I could just toss at you that are much better. So just know that it's okay. Member Directory. Member Directory is actually a really cool module. It allows you to actually create a membership directory on your website. Gives you full control. You can password protect it, all that kind of good stuff, so it's safe and secure. People can opt whether they want to be in it or not. You have the control to allow them to make their own changes or allow them to have to submit them to somebody to be updated. So lots of functionality built into that as well. Podcasts. This is actually a pretty good module. It allows you to actually do exactly what it says, podcast. Podcast is kind of like an RSS feed in that people can subscribe to it, and every time you add a new media file, it could be an audio file, it can even be a video file. But video is typically not done with podcasts, but it can. So you could add some sort of media file, and if I'm subscribed to it, I automatically get it on my device, my mobile device, whatever it is. So if I have an iPod, for instance, and I subscribe to your podcast feed, and Sunday morning, I wake up in the morning, I can turn over, pick up my iPod, and listen to the sermon from yesterday from your church. And I don't even have to go to your website to do that. It's automatically delivered to me. So that's what the podcast module does. It also gives people the opportunity to actually go to your website and see a list of all the media that you have to offer and click on it and listen to it on the spot or download it if that's the case. So I highly recommend that if you're doing any kind of audio recording, you consider podcast. It's a great option. Poll. A poll is basically it's a short questionnaire on your website. So basically you pose a question and you would provide a series of possible answers. So you could ask the question, how do you like our website? And then you could have a list of five answers. I really like it. It's okay. It's somewhat, I don't really care for it. Whatever options you want to put on there. And that way you can get some feedback from people. So they would actually choose one of those options, and then they could see what other people are choosing. So it's kind of a fun little feature that you can add to your site. The next option down is shopping cart, and it is just that. You can literally set up a whole store on your website. Schools use this a lot for their citrus programs. We've got some churches that use it for their DVDs and their videos and audios. I've seen some schools use it for their school uniforms and stuff like that. So there's lots of options available for this. We've got some people that are using this in conjunction with the next module, which we'll talk about in a moment, to actually do registration. So the survey module, I don't like the name of this. Survey it's actually more of a forms module. You can create any form you want on your website. It could be a contact us form, it can be a questionnaire, it could be a baptismal request form, it could be a registration form, anything you want to ask questions about, you can create a survey about it. So some churches have gone so far as to say, okay, let's create this questionnaire, and then when they fill out the questionnaire and they hit the submit button, they're automatically taken to the shopping cart where they can now pay for what they're registering for. So they could do like a weekend registration, or maybe like a CHIP program. So they can register for CHIP with the survey and then pay for it in one fell swoop. So lots of possibilities there. So that is our modules in a nutshell. So let's actually go through on a page. I want to show you kind of how we would edit a page. I think that would be the next step. I think what I'll do is I'm actually going to show you how to create some pages. So once your website is in place, obviously, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add to it. You're going to want to edit pages and stuff like that, and I'll show you that in a moment, but you're also going to want to add other pages. So I'm going to show you that. We're going to actually create a new ministry here. I'm going to go to Ministries, and we're going to, I'm going to back up a moment. We're going to talk about how to add pages to your site. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the sitemap. So here's our sitemap. You'll see these black folders. These are either inactive or protected pages. So we're not going to worry about those right now. But as we look at our navigation, we have across the top, this is our main navigation: Home, About Us, Calendar, Ministries, Online Giving, Bible Study, Prayer, and Contact. We see that as we look at our sitemap here, the main navigation is all the way left aligned: Home, About Us, Calendar, Ministries, Online Giving, Bible Study, Prayer, Contact. And then we have these indented pages. Indented pages are what we call child pages. So the child pages here are underneath About Us. So About Us would be what we would refer to as the parent page, and these would be the child of About Us. And you can create child pages of child pages if you want. So we could add a subpage here under About Seventh-day Adventist, and that would be a child to this one. This would become a parent. Of course, it's a child to this one, which is a parent. So hopefully that makes sense. So to add one of these main navigation items, it's a little bit, actually it's quite a bit different than adding a subpage or a child page. So I'm going to show you both. To add a top-level navigation page, what we do is we go to System, Site Configuration and Navigation, and Navigation. So here is 15 slots that we have reserved for your website. And you can use these however you want. We recommend that you do not delete any of these pages. We just simply remove the title off of them like that to remove the page. And then if we want to use them later on, we can turn around and edit this page and just change the content to be whatever the page is intended to be. So we recycle the first 15. All right, in this case, we're going to add a new one. We'll call this our new page. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that, and we should see in our navigation our new page now showed up. And if we go to the sitemap, we'll see that our new page is right here. So that's how we add a top-level navigation page. Now, to add a subpage or a child page of something, we just simply, we can go to the page, and we can click Add. Or if we're on the sitemap, we can also just go straight to Add here. Same thing. So we'll go here, click Add, and we get a blank page. And we can give it a title. Another new page. And then we can add whatever content we want. Now what's required is we have to have a title in here, and then we can publish it. Now I also recommend, there's several tabs, so I would recommend that we also take a look at the Properties tab. Now the reason I want to look at the Properties tab is the second section down, the Details section. It is important as you're editing pages, existing pages or new pages, you're going to want to pay attention to this. We can add a description in here. This is a description, all right. And typically the description is usually 1 or 2 sentences. Not much more than that, not much less than that. We can also choose a thumbnail for this page, and this is a list of everything that is currently in your thumbnails folder. So we can choose anything we want. So we'll choose sunrise. There we go. That's a GIF. That's probably an animated. I don't like animated GIFs, but we'll see. And then also I recommend that we put in some keywords. So keywords might be something like this: canceled, family, fellowship, meeting, weather. Okay, so we actually had an event that we got that was canceled because of weather, and it was a family fellowship program that we had at our church. So this is, I just picked that up from there. I don't need to really worry about any of the rest of this unless I want to show it, so I'll ignore that. Now, the reason I suggest that we put in a description of 1 or 2 sentences and the keywords, these are important because Google search and Yahoo search and all these search engines out there love it when you put in a description and some keywords, because when they come to this page and they're looking for stuff to put on their search engine, they see that you've got these keywords and they're like, oh, we can use those keywords. So if somebody searches for canceled, we can use this website and give them this description. That's perfect. Now I don't have to create anything. I can just use what they've given me. So it's actually going to help you if you do this throughout your site, add this information throughout all your pages on your site. It's actually going to help you rise in your search the search settings. So when somebody's searching for something, you're more likely to come up towards the top of the list. So these are really important things to put in as you're editing pages. So we're going to go ahead and publish this page. And of course I didn't put any content on here, so this is it. And let's look at the sitemap. And here's our page, and here's another page. So there we are. So we just created our new top-level navigation page and a child page to that. What I want to do now is I want to actually go through this page, and I want to actually edit the page, and I want to show you how to edit. And we're going to actually go through all these different buttons really quickly and see what everything does. So I've got a text document here that I've already filled in some information, just some basic stuff. This is just pure text. There's nothing hidden in there, no code or anything like that. So basically we can create a page however we want. In this case, I've just kind of getting a jump start. So we've got a title here. So there's 2 things. We've got this title here that I can choose to show or not show. And then I can also add other stuff into the actual page. So I'm going to go ahead and show this, and we're going to publish this as it is. So here's the title that we chose to show, and then we have all the content that we just added. So I'm going to go back and edit this. And we'll take this out because we don't need 2 titles on this page. But we do have a subtitle here. Maybe we have a couple of subtitles on our page in various places. So there's another subtitle. So obviously that doesn't really stand out very well. We want it to stand out and kind of be visible. So what we can do is we can do this a couple different ways. We can bold it. We can italicize it. We can underline it. We can put a line through it. We can make it super text, which is like a, in the kind of a little bit above and a little bit smaller. We can also make it subtext, a little bit smaller and a little bit below, typically. I'll do that here. I'll do super text here. There we go. Or subtext there. So you can see how that's smaller and a little bit below. All right, so in this case, so we can play with those. We can also play with the size and the font. So we have some fonts here. These are very basic fonts. Any computer system anywhere in the world are probably going to have these fonts. That's why we've chosen these for you to use. Can you use other fonts? Yes, you can. There's ways we can do that. That's a question that you'll have to ask me later on your own time. But these are the pre-selected fonts. These are fonts that everybody's going to have, so there's no conflict, no substitution. Everybody's going to be able to see these. So we can choose a font if we want. Not a lot of difference. So we could also change the size. So maybe I want a really big title. So there we go. That's looking good. All right, so this paragraph contains bolded, so we'll bold that, and italicized. There we go. Words, as well as red, so we'll make this red. So we're going to color this. So I'm going to come up here and go here and choose red.
Lose him, or did he just quit talking? No idea.
Lonny, we can't hear you anymore if you're talking.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know what happened there, but there we go. All right, so so I was talking about copying and pasting. Did you guys catch that?
No, that's where we lost you.
Okay. All right, so copying and pasting, pretty simple. Basically, we can cut, we can copy, we can paste. These two buttons here, I was talking about Microsoft products. When you're using Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office, Outlook, Outlook Express, Publisher, any kind of Microsoft product, when you copy from a Microsoft product and you want to paste it into your page, we recommend that you use either this option, which is paste from Word, or this option here, which is paste as plain text. The reason why is because Microsoft carries with it extra hidden code in the document. And it's HTML code that is not typically used by your browsers. So your browser's not going to know what to do with this extra code, and it can do some really funky things. I have seen where the page completely disappears. You go to the page and it's blank, totally blank. There's nothing there. I've also seen where it pushes the content off the screen. It's there, but it's off the screen. You can't see it. I've also seen where it makes it so you can't edit it. It does some really funky things. So just be aware that if you're copying and pasting from a Microsoft Word product, we recommend that you use one of these two buttons. Anyway, so that takes care of that. And then I was talking about this button here. If you're working on your site and you just don't have enough room, you can't see it all, you want to see more of what you're doing, you can hit this button and it'll maximize this editor window and make it full screen. And then you can click that button again and it'll bring it back down. So really cool little button here. All right, so we've talked about most of this stuff. I'm going to also show you this. I'm going to highlight this whole line, and I'm going to hit this button. It's going to remove the format, and what that's going to do is it's going to make it be as if I just typed it in. Everything's gone. Now I can hit my undo button again and put it all back in there. So, and then also I have a spell check built into this, so I could spell check this page if I want. And it's checking, and I've got some words that are not right, so I can change those if I want. I'm not going to worry about it. All right. Insert special characters. Sometimes you have a special need to have a special character. So here's a bunch of special characters. Maybe you want something like an arrow. So that's what that is. So that takes care of the top line for the most part. Obviously, we have these alignments, so we can left align something, we can center align something, we can right align something. If we have something like this where we have a lot of text, we can also choose to justify it, which depending on the situation, it can actually take that whole line and actually fit it across the whole span, make it look really nice. So that's something you'll just have to play with. So I'm just going to undo some stuff here. All right, and one more. There we go. All right, so that's your alignment. Here's your bulleted lists. You have bulleted or numbered lists. So we could say these we want a number. There we go. Or we can say we want to just create a bullets. There we go. So pretty easy to do. We can, if we've bulleted some stuff, we can say, well, this actually needs to be indented a little bit further. So we can indent that further. And we can say, well, that was all right, but it needs to be out a little bit. So we can go in and out within our bulleted, our bullet points. I'm going to Control-Z that a few times. There we go. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to talk about linking. Actually, before I do that, before I get to linking, I want to talk about, we talked about how to style this. I want to talk about how to style it using the styles box. Each template that you use on your website, so when your site look comes with styles built into it typically. And these styles are part of the template. They're built as part of the template, so it's going to match your template. So I recommend that we use the styles box to style as much as we can within reason. So we can create a headline, and this actually will match the colors of the site that are in the site. Or we could do some other site name. So that looks just like this. So there's lots of different options. Anyway, so I recommend that you use styles wherever you can, and then if that doesn't work, then you go into fonts, sizes, colors, backgrounds, that sort of stuff. All right, so I'm going to go back now to the link button here. And I've got a section that I've created so that we can see how to link things. So I'm going to create some links to various things on our site here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to link to the home page. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to click on the button for linking. And because I want to go to our home page, another word for page is article. they're synonymous terms. So when I say article, I mean a page of my website, or when I say a page, I mean an article of my website. It's one and the same. So in this case, I've got this box labeled article. So if I click on that, I should see every page that's currently on my website, including the one that we just added. So on here, I want to link to the home page. So I select home, and everything sets up automatically for me. I'm done. I can go ahead and hit OK. So that's how easy it is to link to a page on my own site. So let's link to another website. Let's say we want to link to Amazing Facts. So we can highlight this. Now we can highlight any part of this we want. We can highlight just Amazing Facts. We can highlight the whole thing. We could even put an image in here, which we'll do in a little bit, and link the image up. So we're just going to link this whole thing to Amazing Facts. So we can just type in the web address. amazingfacts.org. And that's done. Now there's one other thing that I typically would like to do with that. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to edit this link that I just put in. Because this is going to another website, one of the things that I like to do is whenever I link away from my website, I like my website to stay available so that people, when they come back, will be able to see my site again and be able to, reconnect with it. So one of the ways I do that is when I send somebody off away from my site, I'll force it to go into a new window. So to do that, I go to Target, and I just click down to New Window Blank. And that forces the next link to open up as a whole new browser window up here, or a new tab in my browser. I can hit OK. So that's set. All right, so now I want to link to a document. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go through the same process. I'm going to click on the link. And this time, I want to link to a document that I'm going to put on the website. So I'm going to have to upload that and put it on our server. So to do that, I'm going to hit Browse Server. And this is going to look familiar to you again later on. We'll see the same area again for some other things as well. So in this case, I want a document, and I keep all of my documents in the Docs folder. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Docs folder, and I have my bulletin here. Now, if I don't have it here, I can go through the process of uploading it. So I can go to Upload up here from Computer, hit Browse. Now, this is going to browse my computer, and I can go to, let's see, there's my bulletin, and send it. Overwrite the existing, yes, voila. I didn't overwrite it, but that's the one. So I double click it, and it pulls me back to this box. I'm done. I can go ahead and hit OK. So I've just linked to a PDF document for my bulletin. All right, linking to an email address. So we want somebody to be able to click on this link and be able to email me something. So we'll highlight it. Again, we're going to go back to the same link button. This time we're going to change this first box. So instead of having a URL in here or a website address, we're going to change this to be an email. So as soon as we do that, the whole box changes. So the email address is support@adventistchurchconnect.com. That is our email address. So that's what's required in order to do this. Now I can also add a subject here. Please help me. And we can also add some body text in here if we want. Now these are optional. These last two boxes are optional. If I fill them in, when somebody clicks that link, it'll automatically open up in their default email program and start the email for them with whatever information I put in here. So it'll have the title or the subject will be, please help me. And if I put something in the body, that'll automatically show up, and they can add to it, change it, or send it as is. So in this case, I'm going to remove that and let them put their own subject in and put their own body in. And we'll say OK. So we've linked to the home page. We've linked to another page outside of our site. We've linked to a document, and we've linked to an email address. Now, I mentioned that we would also add an image in here. I think I'm going to save that for a little bit later. We'll talk about images in depth in our next section, images and media in general. So I think we'll save that for now. I think what I'd like to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and publish this. And remember, we made this one link to another tab. So when I click it, it should open up, and it does in a new tab. So it goes right to Amazing Facts. So that's kind of our website in a nutshell. I mean, there's so much stuff that you can do with the website. It's astronomical. There's so many designs and ideas that I see out there, things that people have tried that just blow my mind sometimes. Just remember, the website is fully functional. It can do whatever you want it to do. It can do a lot of stuff. I think what we'll do now is we'll just go ahead and take a 10-minute break, kind of get up, stretch our legs, take this opportunity to greet your neighbor and say hi to everyone, and we'll just kind of, if you've got questions for me, you can kind of step to the back and we can actually answer some of those questions quickly within the 10 minutes. But go ahead and get up, stretch, and get a drink, go to the restroom, whatever you need to do.
So no flash. Well, I mean, he said, you can see all the time. If you do that, it's outside our page, but I'm saying they were curious to find what the home page and what they would delete that part first. You work with something they can't delete that. You understand? You need the whole web about it. I know, they would go to that page. But I'm saying, he said it would be easy to have a link specifically to the page because you didn't want them to see all the other stuff. But I'm saying click those and you can still delete the last part of that what they could. Yeah, you can't prevent that.
How do we talk to him?
He's right there.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah, I had a question. Is there a way to edit and develop a page in another tool? For example, the serif tool, and there are several others, and import that source code and keep the layout and the formatting that was done in another editor.
Yeah, it is possible to do that. It may require, depending on what you're talking about. If you're talking about, like when you say layout, are you talking about like a template with content?
No, I'm talking about columns and placement of material,
Yes.
layout of pictures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very doable. Basically, we would take the source code and actually drop it right into the page. If you want to turn around and look at my screen, I'll show you. We can edit this page, and we can go to source code here, and we can actually look at the source code. So I could actually remove this and paste in whatever source code I want. So if we have source code from somewhere else, I could literally paste it in here, and it'll render it. Within reason. Obviously our pictures will need to be linked accordingly and stuff like that, but typically we could just do that. And that's something we would love to help you with. So, if it's something that you're not really, if it's something that you need help with, feel free to give us a call.
Lonny,
Yes.
how do you access the free church website? Do you have to go through some authorization? Because anybody could set up a site in your name.
Yes, there is an authorization. So when you go to sign up, I'm logged in, so let me log out here. So this is AdventistChurchConnect.com. When you come here, you can go to this red tab, click Sign Up, and you can decide if you're a school or a church. And then you would simply decide what conference you're in. And then you would select your church from that list. And see if we can get one to work here. All right, so that one tells me that it was already set up. So let's see if we can find one here. That one's already set up.
Can you try Fayette SDA Church and see if that's already set up?
What conference?
Georgia-Cumberland. We have a site, but I'm not sure. It's not in Carolina, it's in Georgia, Fayetteville, Georgia.
I'm going to back up and come back into this. Give me a second here. There we go. All right. No, you do not have a site with us yet.
All right.
So you'll need to come to the sign up and go ahead and finish filling this out. So what you'll do is you'll put your information in here. So you'll probably be the webmaster or your communication director or something like that. Or if it doesn't fit you, just choose other, and then put your name, your email address. That's going to be important, and then your phone number in case we need to get a hold of you. Your mailing address, and then moving down on the form. We would want who the pastor is. If you don't have a pastor current, then we will want your head elder, whoever that is, and what their email address, their phone number, how do we contact them. Because we'll need to contact them, verify that you are authorized to be the web administrator, and once that we get the okay from this person, we'll get you set up.
All right. Last question. You mentioned a features module that allows text, images, or combinations thereof that change.
Correct.
When you come back to the site the second time, does it change just for that individual user?
It changes for the user, correct. So if I have a set of images, so I have the same size images, I have 7 of them in my features in a set. And I put that on my home page. I say, okay, we're going to use feature set number 1 in this spot on my home page. Each time somebody comes to that page, it randomly goes and grabs one of those 7 images and displays it in that spot.
Okay.
Another case that where we've used that, instead of actual text, we've actually used code. And we've actually put in like a navigation. I'll show you really quick. Iowa, Missouri conference. We're setting up a page for them for Camp Heritage, their campsite. This is still the same website. It doesn't look like the same website, and they've got their own navigation. Now, this navigation is actually pulling from features. So throughout their area of the website, it grabs the same navigation from there and displays it in the template for them. Now this section here, this rotating image, also is another feature. So it's a different feature set.
You don't have to stand from the start to see the
Okay. Thank you. Right here.
Yep.
Just ask the microphone.
All right.
The webcam right there.
Okay.
Just come over here. See? Right there.
This is Lonny.
Hi.
Lonny.
Hi.
Wherever you are. Yeah. I want to see what you're presenting on my laptop here while we're in the meeting, rather than on the screen.
Okay. What you'll want to do is you'll want to go to joingotomeeting.com. Do you have your laptop right in front of you?
I'll go get it.
Okay.
Or you can just say it, and then I'll.
Okay, yeah, I can just say it.
However, I'm putting it still.
Lonny,
I'm
Yes.
still putting.
before the meeting starts, we're working on my school website.
Yes.
When we're done with this, I've got a couple more questions at the end of the presentation. Can you help me with a couple things?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to.
Are you able to log into my computer? Do you have that program?
Probably. It depends on how we do that. Depends on what program you're talking about.
I think it's called Log Me In or something.
I don't have that. We can do something. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I'll talk to you after it's over.
Okay, good.
That's what you're supposed to show. You're going to do it. This is part of the scene. But I'm not I mean, not that much, but is it working?
Trying to get your running here.
I'll broadcast to us what to go to meeting, what the passwords are. Yeah, he's ready right there. He's right now. Oh, okay.
They're on the screen.
Yeah, 334 143.
That's what I heard. It's not real.
Okay, so are we done with the join GoToMeeting information?
I haven't recently visited places I go. Is almost everywhere. Oh, I got that. The charger. Well, if you had a different one, you would just put yeah, that's what you would put the other card. The other card that would be getting another device and pay for a device. Yeah, you don't want to do that. I haven't tested it to see if it's there or not.
Okay, are we all ready to go again?
I think so.
All right. This next section that we're going to be working with is going to get a little bit more involved and a little bit more interesting, I think, for some people. I want to talk about media. We're going to shift towards video first, and then we're going to, towards the end, we're going to talk about images. My goal is to kind of get you ready for this afternoon's seminar that's going to be happening, talking about photography. I want to kind of get you so that your mind is set on how you can use images in the website, but then also gearing up for this afternoon's seminar and how to take good photographs and that sort of stuff. Kind of put the two together, hopefully, in your mind, so that when you walk away this evening, you'll have gotten a complete package. So we're going to start with video video and audio first. To do this, I'm going to actually take you to my website. This is our church's website. And I have to apologize. It's a little outdated. I haven't been on it for the last 3 weeks. Well, I haven't been able to update it for the last 3 weeks as far as media. But the reason I wanted to bring you here was because I've done some really cool things. And I can't take credit for all of this. Some of the things that I've been doing with this website, I've actually learned from people like you. You guys come up with some pretty cool things. And being able to piece these things together into a website has been just fun and exciting. So hopefully you'll be able to learn some of what I've done here. So one of the things that I've done is I've turned on the podcast module. And I talked about that earlier. Podcast module allows you to put media on your website and allows people to be able to subscribe to that media. So I'm using the podcast module, and I'm putting my audio right on my website. So how I do that is I will go to podcasts, and it's not supposed to do that. Try that again. All right, well, let's try a different website. We'll have to turn it on here. So podcast, so I'm going to actually click on it, and I'm going to change it from inactive to active and save it. So now my podcast module is active on this website, and I should see that under content now. Podcasts. So let's see what happens. There we go. All right, so I've got this podcast module set up, and obviously I don't have anything in here as yet. So one of the first things I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to add a podcast. So I'll click Add Podcast, and to add a podcast, it's going to require that I have a speaker and a title. So title and speaker. So typically this would be the title of the sermon, is how I would do that. And then the speaker would be, you know, the pastor's name. So I'll just put in our pastor's name. So there we go. Now I can also add a subtitle. I can add a description in here if I want. It's up to me if I want to do that or not. There's also a tab for optional items. I'll just take you there really quick. We can put in summary, keywords, file date. So let's say I'm 3 weeks behind now. I've got the last 3 sermons that have been spoken at our church that I need to upload to my website. Obviously, when I put those in, it's going to have today's date on all 3 of them. Well, obviously, I don't want that to happen. So what I'll do is I'll change the file date so that it'll have the correct date for that sermon. That way, it looks like I actually put it up on the appropriate day. Anyway, so you can add in all kinds of information here. We'll go back to the main tab here, and obviously, I haven't uploaded that file here. Okay, there we go. Sorry, hang on. Just muting some folks here so that we don't get any disruption. All right, so obviously I don't have my file here yet, so I can look to see if I've got something in my podcast folder, which I do already. Lucky me. So I could use this file and podcast it, or I could go through the process of uploading a new file. To do that, I just hit Browse. I find the file on my computer, wherever it is, tell it to open, and then I'd save it. Now, it'll take a little while if I did that to actually upload the file. So rather than doing that, I'm going to go ahead and use the existing file. We're going to pretend that we went through the browse and all that stuff. So what would happen is when we hit save, it would take a little bit of time to upload that file and get it in place, and then everything would link up. So in this case, we're fast forwarding through time, and we see that our first podcast is in place. So this is what I do on my church's website. Now that I've done that, there's a few other things that we can do. I'm going to hit the back button here. So on my home page, because I have this subscribable, I have subscribed to my own podcast, and I have this box here that shows me the file name. So the last one that I have in place is from January 5. It gives me the file name and the date that I uploaded that, or the file date, as the case may be. Now I can listen to the file, I can download it, or I can archive it. In this case, we can go to Listen and listen to it right here on the spot, or I can go to Archive. My archive is a page that I've set up on my site where I list every single sermon that I currently have on there. Now, I told you earlier about my media player and that I didn't like the built-in media player. One of the really cool options to that I found is this little guy here. This is, there we go. There we are. So this is a nifty little player. It does audio and video both, which is really nice. And I don't have to worry about trying to add stuff into it. It does all the work for me. So all I do is on my archive page here, I simply go in, I edit the page, I add in my new information, and then I link the title to my MP3 file. When I do that, when I save and publish, it's automatically, this player automatically adds a little play button next to it so I could play it, or I can, it's also here in a playlist, so all of my files are all automatically here. So really cool player, really easy to set up. I'd be happy to help you with that. You'll have to just give me a call, and we can work with you on that. So that's the podcast in a nutshell. So this is one option. We could also, let's see here. No, that podcast is just not going to work. I'm going to have our programmers take a look at that. I've got an error on my site for some reason. All right, so we'll just ignore that for now. All right, so So that's podcast. While we're talking about media and these really cool things that we can do with media, I'm going to also show you, I've got a box down here. Yesterday during church, I was running the sound equipment yesterday, and during church, the announcement was made that we were having our birthday party for everyone at 5:30. And so I wanted to, just make sure that our website had that. Well, I knew that it had this. This is a news and event item that I put on there. But I also wanted to make sure that it was in a nice, prominent spot. So what I did is I just got on my cell phone and I tweeted. I got on Twitter and I put in a tweet with this information. And I have my website set up so that I can put tweets into our account and it'll automatically show up on our website. So that's something you can do as well. Just something fun. It helps me be able to just quickly add information. We had a family fellowship that was canceled, and I put a tweet on there really fast about that. So people were able to see that that was canceled before they headed out on the dangerous, slippery roads. So it's a way of keeping our members informed just by glancing at the website. It makes the website that much more valuable. Now they can also subscribe to our Twitter feed as well. I don't have it here, but there's places on the site where they can sign up for our Twitter feed and get it straight that way as well. So that's the podcast and Twitter in a nutshell. Let me also show you how to embed video. I think I've got a page on here somewhere. Let's see, online media. Ponderings, here we go. So here I have a number of videos that I've linked to, again, that media player that we have. And as soon as I do that, it creates this little play button next to each one. So I could actually click it and it'll play it. So all I've done is created the link to a YouTube video. And we see the YouTube link here. I can click on this and watch it right in YouTube directly. So that's one option. Here's Capitol View. This is a church that I've been helping with. It's a local church here in Lincoln. The pastor's been working on creating some media for their site. And this is the page that we've come up with. Basically, we've got these series and other stuff. So we've got sermons, and then we have these series. So here we've got the Truth About Death, 5-part series. So we'll click on that and go there. And here's the different videos that are available. So we'll click on one of these. And again, it's playing in the player. So that's an option for you. We can also actually, let's actually do this. Let's click on one of these and let's watch this in YouTube. All right, so there we go. There we go. All right, so once we're actually looking at it in YouTube, we should be able to, let's see, I don't have a way to, I'm not seeing where to, oh, here we go, share. All right, so share gives me the option to embed this video if I want. So embed, so I can actually grab embed code. I can customize it too. So if I want to actually change it up a little bit, make it a little bit bigger or something like that, I can do that. So here's the embed code. I can just simply copy this. I can go back to my website, and let's go to our new page and another new page. And on here, we'll go ahead and edit this page. And I'm going to paste in that embed code. Now, I can paste it in here, but that's not going to look pretty. That's not what I want. What I want to do is I want to actually add it as source. So I can insert HTML code into the spot where I'm at, or I can just go to the source code and inject it where I want it. So in this case, I'm going to click that. There's my code. And it creates this little iframe box. Now I can center justify that and publish it. Now what should happen is it should actually render the video, and there it is. So I have taken a video from YouTube and actually placed it on my website. We can do the same thing with Vimeo as well, and we've actually done that with our help website. Throughout our help website, we have a number of videos in various places. So if I go here and we go to, yeah, there's a Vimeo video embedded on this page. So we could actually play this. We can go full screen with it if we want, whatever we need to do. So, so you can embed video, or you can use a player like this. This is pretty easy to set up. So if you want to do something like this, it's not hard to do, and I'd be happy to help you with it. So those are both available. Those options are all available for you. There's other players that you can do as well. So many options, so many free options out there. So just, you know, if you have an idea and you're not sure how to make it, develop it into the actual page that you're dreaming about, that's a good time to give us a call and say, you know, I've been thinking about doing this, but I'm not sure how to get from point A to point B. What are your thoughts? We're happy to, you know, shoot the breeze with you and kind of lead you in the right direction, and even, you know, give you ideas, give you tools, things like that. This is what we love to do. This is our job. We wouldn't be here doing this if we didn't love doing it. So feel free to give us a call. So all right, let's go on here. All right, so that takes care of video and that sort of stuff. I want to move now into images. There are lots of places where you can put images on your website. I'm going to take us back to my website here. You know, our society these days, we are an audio-visual society. We watch TV, we get newspapers, well, maybe not so much, but we look at our iPhones and our iPads, and we visualize with images everywhere we go. Audio and images. It's prolific these days, how much we see. Billboards, magazines, it's all around us. Everywhere we go, they're trying to sell something, and it's always done with visual aids. And it's no different with your website. Your website should be attractive and beautiful. Now, you know, I've got some extra skills that I've learned over time that help me to be able to create some really nice graphics and make things look really pretty and shiny. But not everybody has those skills. So start with what you do know how to do and start building on that. One of the best things that you can do is you can take your existing site and you can add your own images into your header. Now there's a couple ways to do that. We can literally show you step by step how to do that yourself, what size these images should be, and how do you upload them to the site, and how do you link them and get them to work in here. We can do that for you. We can help you step by step to learn how to do that. So that's one option. The other option is you can actually just email us your images. You can email them to AdventistChurchConnect.com. Tell us why you're sending us your images. Say, you know, you can attach 5 images and say, I'd like these to be in the leftmost pane of my header, and shoot us another email for the center and another one for the right side, and just tell us what your web address is so that we know what site that goes on. And we'll do that work for you, and there's no charge for that. Believe it or not, we do that for free, and we're happy to do that. Now, it may take us, you know, a week or two to get it done, depending on our workload, but that's something that, you know, if you're not a graphics person, but you have some great photographs and you want to get them in your site, that's a great option for you. So any combination thereof. So if you want to learn part of the process, but you don't want to learn the whole thing, that's fine too. one of the things that I like to talk to people about when when we're dealing with images on your website, particularly as part of your design, is image release. And basically that's a legal document that says you have been granted the right to place that image on your site. So somebody can't come back and sue you for, whatever. So getting image releases for your people that you put in the design of your site. Now that's not to say, if you have a news page and you put a photo up there, that's not the same. News is news. The Channel 8 nightly news, when they go out and they stand on the street corner and film a live interview with somebody, and there's cars going by in the background, they don't stop all those cars going by and make them fill out image release forms. That just is not feasible or even practical. News is considered news. I mean, you're not necessarily mentioning the names of each of those passengers that are in those cars by name, but they're in the video, obviously. So with news, we don't necessarily worry about image release forms, but with the website, it's a different matter. It's going to be on here a little bit more permanently. It's going to be part of the site. You need to make sure that you have the permission, and that is especially true with children. Make sure that the parents sign off that, yes, you can use that image. It's really important to do that. All right, so one of the things that I want to do with you is I want to actually go through the process of uploading some images, inserting some images, resizing some images, moving some images. We'll talk about the image gallery, we just talked about the header. So these are all good things to think about and work with. So I'm going to go back to our sitemap. We're going to go back to that page that we were working with earlier, another new page. And we're going to edit this page. I'm going to get rid of this video. So there we go. And we'll left justify again. All right, so I talked about earlier about adding an image into one of these and linking it. So we can actually do that. So I'm going to take Amazing Facts out. Not out completely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unlink it. So to do that, I'm highlighting it, and I can come up here and I can click this unlink button. I can also right-click it and tell it to unlink. Either way, it'll unlink it. So there we go. We've unlinked it. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add an image in here. So we're going to come up here. I'm going to click on my image button, and that's going to begin the process of inserting an image. Now, my images, I'm going to have to store them somewhere, and I store them on my browser, or on my server. So I'm going to browse the server right now. The server, this should look familiar to you. This is where we put our documents earlier. So it's the same place, just a different folder. So by default, it went to the same folder I was in earlier, which was my docs folder. In this case, I want to go to my images folder, because that's where I've got all my images. For this particular case, I want to use a really small image here, and I happen to know for a fact that I have some really small images in my template folder. So I'm just going to immediately go to my thumbnails folder. So I'm going to go to thumbnails, and these images are usually pretty small, 40 by 50, and we see that here, 40 by 50. There's a couple that are a little bit bigger, but I'm going to ignore those. And this is talking about amazing facts. So we're going to grab something here. We'll do ocean. All right. So that's what it's going to look like. That's a larger version of what it is. This box is much bigger than the actual thumbnail, so it looks kind of blurry. I'm going to double-click it, and there it is. That's the actual size of it. Now, just so you know, this text here, you may not understand that text, and that's because it's not meant to be understood. This is Latin gibberish. It's in Latin, but it means absolutely nothing. You put that together, and it's like, huh? It doesn't mean anything. It's there to help you understand how text is going to interact with your image. So we can play with the alignment, and we can see that based on how we align this, we can see how the text, your text, when it's actually on the page, is going to interact with that video or that image. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and left align it. Now we can see that the wording is going to be right up against the image. I don't like that necessarily, so I'm going to maybe put some H space, some horizontal space around that image, and that's going to put some space on each side of my image. V space is vertical space. That's going to do the same thing on the top and on the bottom. So above and below, vertical versus horizontal. So in this case, I just need horizontal space, and I'm going to give some horizontal space of like 5 pixels. So I put in 5, and we can see how that moved everything over. I like how this looks at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and say OK. So there's my image and my wording. So I'll go ahead and give myself a couple returns. All right, so I'm going to highlight the information that I actually want to have linked. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and link it. And since this is linking to Amazing Facts, we'll just type in amazingfacts.org. And OK. All right, so there we go. So we'll publish that. All right, so we've created an image, actually placed it on the page, and we've linked it. So it's linked to Amazing Facts. So if I hold my mouse over the image, we should see that Amazing Facts will become underlined, and it does. So it's all one link. All right, and this is a different link altogether. And if we click the image, it should take us to Amazing Facts. All right, so perfect. The one thing I didn't do is I didn't tell it to open up in a new window. So I can go back and do that if I wanted to. In this case, I'm not going to because I want to move on. All right, so we've uploaded. Have we uploaded? We didn't upload. All right. So let's edit this. All right, we're going to go ahead and insert a new image, browse our server. We'll take a moment here. And because we were in images last, it should open up back in our images folder. Oh, no, it was in thumbnails. So we'll go to images. All right, so there's images. And I'm going to go ahead and upload a new image. So I'm going to go to Upload from Computer. I'm going to browse. And I'm going to go hunting for a photo. I've got a lot of photos on my desktop, so that'll work. Get Acrobat Reader. That's an image. Esperanza TV. There we go. We'll do that. All right, so there it goes. So it should be in my list now. There it is. So Esperanza TV. I'll double-click it. It places it in there. Now this is a good-sized photo or a good-sized image. That's good enough. We'll say OK. So there it is. So now we've uploaded an image and inserted an image, and we can publish that. And we've linked an image. Next thing I want to talk about is actually resizing. So I'm going to come up here. Now we can do this in a couple different ways. We can edit the page and go through the process of inserting an image and going to our image and file management that way, or we can just go to images and files here, which I'll do. Give it a couple moments here to load up for us. All right, there we go. And we were in images last, so that's where it landed us. All right, so I've got an image here. I have no idea what this is. It'll show us in a moment. A picture of a lady. All right, so I'm going to copy. Well, let's see. How should I do this? Yeah, let's copy this. And I'm going to put it in my docs folder for now. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want to actually destroy this original image. We might want to use that again. So I'm going to copy it to my docs folder, and it should give me a green bar here. There we go. So it's in docs. So if I go to docs, I should see that image in my docs folder. There it is. And right now I'm going to rename it. All right, we'll give it A's. All right, so I can actually move this back. So I can do that in a couple ways. I can right-click and tell it to move, or easier yet, I can just drag it to where I want it to go. I'm going to put it back in Images. So there we go. And there's my image. So there's my image. I've got the original one still in here, right here, I believe. So now I can work with this without worrying about destroying my original. I want to resize this image. Now there's a couple ways I can do that. I can do it ahead of time on my own computer, but not everybody has an editing program for images. We've built one into the system, which is kind of nice. So I can actually edit this within the website itself. So I can right-click this, and I can tell it to open in Pixlr Image Editor. This is actually a pretty good little program. And we'll give it a second here. It's going to load up. The one thing that I don't like about this program is that it's limited to my window size here. So it's kind of small, and it's not, you know, I'm used to a nice big editor. So it kind of limits my size. But other than that, it functions very well and does exactly what I need it to do. So in this case, it's only showing 77% of my image. So this image is actually quite a bit bigger than it's actually showing. If we were to go to 100%, that's actual size. So you can see it's quite a bit bigger than it looked. So what I want to do is I want to actually resize this image. Now I can do that by coming up here to Image and going to Image Size, and I can decide on a width. Now I typically like to constrain the proportions. And what that means is if I don't constrain the proportions and I change this to like you know, like 100, we're gonna find something really funny. So that's what it looks like if I don't constrain the. Let's see if I can Control Z. Oh yes, Control Z, it does undo. All right, so image, image size, and I do want to constrain the proportions to make sure that's checked. And I want to reduce the width down. I want to go about half of what it is. So let's go about 250 and say OK. And we'll bring this up to 100%. So that's actual full size now. So it's smaller than it was originally. And I like how that looks. So we're going to say OK on this. So now to finish this, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go to File and Save. It's going to actually save it back to where it came from using the same name. And what I've just done is I've pushed this up to 100%. So it wants to try and save some space for me by reducing the quality. And its 80% is not so bad that, you know, it's hardly noticeable, that you can't even hardly notice that there's a difference in the quality. However, if I want to play with this image some more and do some more resizing later, I may want to have it really nice, crisp quality. So I typically usually always put that back up to 100. It's just what I do. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And it's put it back. So now we have this image, at 250 by 250. So it's the reduced size. So now I can double click it. Actually, I'm not inserting it. But if I wanted to insert it, I could insert it and it would only be 250 by 250. All right, so the next big thing I want to talk about is the photo gallery. And we do have the photo gallery set up here. Let's see if we've got anything in it. Oh yeah, we do. Okay, we've got some images already set up in here. So I've got one here that we started. I'm going to just start a whole new one. I'm going to add a whole new gallery, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the steps. So we'll click Add. And to start off, I'm going to put a title in here. Pathfinders, that sounds good. All right, I'm a big Pathfinder fan. I'm an area coordinator for our Pathfinders. So I love Pathfinders. I love watching them learn. It's just amazing to me. All right, so keywords. Again, this would be usable by search engines or our built-in site search. So keywords would be Pathfinders, camp out, whatever you want, whatever trips your trigger on that. So whatever you think people might be looking for to find these photos, that's what you're going to want to put in for keywords. Individual words. So separate each word by commas. And you don't need to repeat words, obviously. All right, so we've got our title, we've got our keywords. Over here on this side, we can choose to make this active, unapproved, or inactive. Obviously, we want this to be active for now. We can also decide, well, I told everybody that I would have this up on Wednesday and no sooner. So, well, today's Sunday. If I get it all done today and it's up, well, that makes me a little bit of a liar. So what I could do is I could actually set this to become available on Wednesday. So then I don't look like a liar. It's just there on Wednesday, just like I said. The other thing I can do is I can say, well, these images, you're going to have to look at them this week because next week they're going to go off. So I can actually set this to go to next month. We'll turn it off next Sunday. So for the next week, they're there, and then they're gone. So you can play with those however you want. If you leave it blank for the start on, it'll just assume it's always started. It's there from now on. And same thing with expire. If you choose to not have an expiration date, it won't ever expire. It'll always be there. So in this case, I'm going to leave those blank. All right, so now going down here, this is the section where we can add our images. We can do it one at a time, which is long and cumbersome and boring. We can also select an image that's already there, which, yeah, that's okay. But obviously, I have a whole new gallery I haven't uploaded yet. So the easiest and fastest way for me to do this is to add multiple slides. So I can use this option to add all my slides at one time. So I'll click that. It gives me this nice little fancy window. And I'll hit Browse. That's going to browse my computer now. And here I have some buckets. Let's use those. All right, so this is my bucket photo gallery. So here I have all these buckets. I'm going to go ahead and say Upload. So we see that they're uploading pretty quickly. It's not going to take too long. Almost done. There we go. All right. So here's my buckets. So at this point, I can go in and I can give captions. Small buckets. I don't know what that says. That's one of the problems with this. It's hard to read or hard to see the images, the little thumbnails. Anyway, so we can put in captions for all of these if we want. We can also replace the thumbnails if we want. So if I don't like the way that looks, I can actually replace it with a different image altogether, which can be good and can be bad. Depends on your needs. All right, so we've got these in here. Let's go ahead and save and exit at this point. All right, so I have 7 images in this Pathfinder gallery. So I'm going to click on that. We can see what it looks like. So here's my gallery. So pretty cool. All right, so yay, we got this gallery. Now, I like that this gallery is here, but I sure wish it was on our page that we created earlier, and there's a way we can do that. So I'm going to go back to galleries. I'm going to go to tokens, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new token. So I'm going to add, Add new token, sorry, right here. All right, so at this point I get to choose what type of gallery I want. Now this is the size and whether or not I have controls. Now I want a nice big one, so I'm going to go 500 by 500 with controls. That way we can see it nice and big. And I'm going to use my pathfinders that I just created. And since my website has a white background, I'm going to choose that I'm not going to be able to. My template here is not working well with me. All right, so we'll just choose something lighter. There we go. Yuck. Maybe I'll go back to black. All right, so I've got that, and there's some advanced settings as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on those. Do I want to show controls? In other words, do I want to have my visitors see that there's controls that they can play with? Yes, I think that's a great option. For what I'm doing, that's what I want. Show the galleries. Now in this case that means show that there's other galleries. In this case I'm going to say no. Show the captions. So it'll show the captions below the images if I want. I'm going to say yes, I definitely want that. Gallery link, I'm going to autofill that. Auto start, I like to definitely have this automatically start rotating through the images. So I'm going to say yes to that. And a little bit further down we'll set the speed on that. Thumbnail position, I'm going to say none. I'm not going to show the little thumbnails. Now, on second thought I will. I'm going to put them off to the right side. I'm going to say 2 rows, 3 columns. We'll do that. All right. Font color we'll have as white. That should show. Okay, slideshow speed. This is talking about whether or not, talking about how fast we want to rotate through the images as they fade in and fade out. Typically 3 seconds is pretty good, so I'm going to put 3. Frame size I'm going to leave at 0. I don't want a frame around it, so I'm just going to leave it at 0. Arrow color, I'll leave that be. Switch rollover. Now we are showing thumbnails, and what switch rollover means is when I put my mouse over one of those thumbnails, is it automatically going to switch the main image to show that? It's a pretty cool effect, so I'm going to say yes here. And that's it. We're all set. I can go ahead and hit add. Now what that does is that gives me this line here for Pathfinders. I can see that I've got a gallery for my Pathfinders that's 500 by 500 with controls. The thumbnails are going to be off to the right, and I have this token. It's ## gallery 2 ##, and I can either remember that and type it in, or I can copy and paste it in. So I'm going to copy it, and we're going to go to our page that we created earlier. Another new page. We're going to edit this, and I'm going to remove our Esperanza and paste in our ## gallery 2 ##. Now I pasted that in, but I could also just type that in, ## gallery 2 ##, and publish. Now that token is going to automatically pull the content in there for me. So here's what it looks like. So you see it's automatically rotating through. You can see why I would rather have this as a white background. It would just kind of blend in and look really nice. But this is a test site, so obviously it didn't work right, but that's okay. I can work with that later on. So in this case, I can mouse over whichever one of these I want, and it automatically shows it. So this is the photo gallery. I kind of burned through this pretty quickly, but it kind of gives you an idea of what's available out there. So I hope that you guys get excited about photography and putting your photos up on the website. It's a great way to keep people engaged in your site and keep them coming back, especially if you keep rotating those images and put new ones up. The photo gallery is a great place for that. Now typically I would probably on my main navigation put an option for gallery or photo gallery so that people can click on that and immediately be taken to the photo gallery, which would take them to this page. Now I'm logged in, so I have some extra functionality like these links here and things like that. But this is a great option for you. And then you can take these individual galleries and place them on specific pages. So if this was actually Pathfinder Campout, I can actually place this gallery alone by itself on my Pathfinder page, and my Pathfinders can go to the Pathfinder page of the website and see themselves and get them excited and energized about being on the website. So lots of cool things that you can do with the site. There's so much I could show you. So much stuff that's really cool and exciting, and it's all there for you to use. I hope that you guys take advantage of this. We're here to help you, and it's completely free. It doesn't get better than that, folks. So, give us a call, go to our help website, email us, whatever you need to do to reach us, and we'd love to make contact with you and help you out with your site. So I'm going to quit just a little bit early, I guess. If you do have specific questions, I would be open to answering those at this time. So, all right.
Lonny,
Yes.
I noticed that it's for churches, schools, and I think I saw company. What do you mean by company?
In the church structure, we have full churches, but we also have companies. They're churches that have started. Usually, it starts as a branch Sabbath school, and then it goes into a company status, which is kind of the beginning of a church. It's a really small church, is what it represents. And so companies can have websites as well. They're just really small churches.
So you didn't mean business companies.
She was saying you weren't referring to business companies, were you?
No, we're not referring to business companies. We're referring to in the church structure, the church companies, which are small beginning churches typically. So when a church begins, you start with a handful of people, and at a certain level, we deem them as companies, which means that they have an official status of kind of standing on their own, but they're still a baby church, is what it means.
Lonny, thank you so much. I'm just going to interrupt real quick. I have an evaluation form that I would like to hand out to everybody to fill out, because we want your feedback on if this was helpful, what you'd like to see in the future, and then you guys can fill this out and still be talking to Lonny. So Lonny, you're not done. If they still have more questions, you're still around for a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I'm just going to hand these out. Thanks.
Lonny?
Yes.
Okay. When I go to resize my images like we were doing with my school website earlier, it gets to this page. It says, please wait while saving Pixlr image, and it just sits there eternally. It won't change the image. Any ideas?
What browser are you using? Are you using Internet Explorer?
Yes.
Unfortunately, that may be part of your problem. Internet Explorer has some issues with it, and we keep finding these little issues with Internet Explorer, and I wish I could say that there's an easy fix for that, but there's not. Part of the problem is that Internet Explorer, as they progress and make the newer versions of Internet Explorer, the things that they're doing with the newer versions, we program for the newer versions, but then the programming that we do for the newer versions to make it work in the new versions of Internet Explorer break in the older versions. So we found some of that, and then there's just some little idiosyncrasies within Internet Explorer that just don't work quite right. So I would recommend either Google Chrome as your browser for editing the website, or Firefox. Those have both proven to be very good.
Okay. Now the images that you had resized, the image that you resized for me earlier, is not showing up in my images as having been resized.
Not in your images, but in your thumbnails, it is.
But it's not showing up. The image itself is not even showing up in my thumbnails.
Anybody have a pen?
All right, let's take a look. What was the website address again?
Coble School, C-O-B-L-E, school.com.
Just getting the evaluations out here to me when you guys are done. And we have lunch, box lunches for anybody who would like a lunch.
The last image I show in my thumbnails is 0383. And I know there's more on there.
Oh, yeah. I think I know why. Give me a second. I'm almost there. If you turn around and look at my screen, or the big screen in the front of the room,
Is that mine pulled up?
yeah, this is yours. We were in the template, I'm sorry, thumbnail folder. I did that earlier too. All right, so what you're saying is the last one you see is this one here. You look at my screen for just a second. Let me show you this.
I'm going to look at Brian's back here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, let's see up here. This is page 1 of.
Oh,
There's multiple pages. I think yours may be on the last page, the new image. No, it's not.
Can we help me save face here and say this is just added in the last few minutes?
It was. This is a brand new feature. I've never seen this before.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As you laugh. Some help. Okay. Okay, I went too far. It's not on the last page.
What was the number on that?
I'm looking for 1109.
It is on page 3 of 4.
Seriously, this page stuff has been here the whole time?
Yep, it has.
Brand new.
I mean, yeah, it's brand spanking new. We just rolled it out today just for you.
Just for me. So I can feel like the dingbat. Okay, but see, they're still not resized on here. It's still showing up for me at 480 by 640. What's it showing up
I
on
know
here?
I see 2 of them. There's 2 of them.
Oh yeah, there's
2
the other
files
one.
up from that one. And another one.
Oh,
That's
okay.
smaller.
And so I've got them on here 3 times.
Across all of your folders, yeah, I think so.
Boy, I'm talented.
You can make unlimited copies.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm actually got a little bit of a tickle in my throat too. I'm just getting over a cold.
Now that I've found them, I think I can work with it. I just couldn't find them.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad we were able to find that for you.
That's what the problem was. I didn't know there was another page. I didn't know y'all had started that today.
Well said.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, cool.
I'll probably call with a couple questions tomorrow or something.
Okay. Hey, Brian, did the books get there? Were we able to hand those out?
Yeah, they handed the little books out.
Good. Excellent. So, yeah, our phone number is on that booklet as well.
Okay. Yeah, I email quite often.
Excellent.
Appreciate your help.
You're welcome.
Here's somebody else.
All right.
Does the editing work as well on Mac as well on PCs?
Yes. Yep, It'll work on just about anything. It'll work in Linux too.
He's right there, I think.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I'm not broke.
Right here, ma'am.
It doesn't mind. I don't care
Right
if you
here.
see me or not.
Monitor.
I can't see you. But is there any way for you to put the feature on this website that we don't have to go through all these steps to resize? We can do just like the school annual that I work with. I just put the picture on the page, and then you can just take and resize it right there. It's so simple.
You can do that here as well with the website. We recommend that you resize it ahead of time if possible. If you can't do that and you need to, if it's a huge image, you're going to want to resize it because when you go to open that image, even if you squish it down into a smaller area on the page, it's going to load slowly because of how big it is. Does that make sense?
Yes. How do I know what size I want it? Do I just keep yes and test until I get it correct?
That's a really good question. It's kind of a difficult question to answer. It's gonna be one of those things that over time you're just gonna learn how big a certain space is. I can tell you that this website's probably, if you turn around and look, this particular site right now is probably about 900 pixels wide, maybe 650, somewhere around in there. This area is probably about 150 pixels wide. It's just, it comes in time. You begin to learn it in time.
Yes, well, I do call you on the phone. You have talked to me.
Good.
But I have to reinvent the wheel every time I do something because I haven't done it that much yet.
I totally understand that.
And my goal today was to find out how to upload my images to the website. So I'm thinking, take a look in the phone, maybe I'll have it.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Once you get the image on the site, you can actually play there when you're in the image dialog box. Let me actually go back to a page here.
I know I had the book and my laptop. I was on the school website, so a lot of the church navigation didn't seem to relate to what I was doing. The school website seems to be simpler than the church one.
They're actually identical. They're the same system. The only difference is that the schools have an extra module that the churches don't, which is the small school minder option.
Well, I haven't seen the media and all that stuff. I'm not there yet, so
Okay.
I can just get pictures and newspapers and citrus forms and all that on the website.
Well, if you turn around and look, I'll show you just really quickly. Here we have an image. I'm going to go to image properties. So we can pretend we're actually just now inserting this image. If we want to make this bigger or smaller, we can do that in the width and the height here. By having this little guy here locked, it keeps these proportionately the same. So it doesn't, skew out of size one way but not the other. But we can change this to whatever we want. We can make this a really big, blurry image if we wanted by changing that to 200. So, and then also we can go back and we can tell it to go back to its original size, whatever that is, bigger or smaller. And so you can do that on the site. So once you get your image in there, you can resize it right on the page. But if it's a really big image and you scrunch it into a tiny little spot like this, it's going to load really, really slowly on the page, if that makes sense. So that's just one of the things you have to watch for. But there's nothing to say you can't do that. You're welcome.
Go for it. Just a question on where the docs, videos, JPEGs are. stored? Are they on your cloud, or are they on my computer, or do we decide how that goes, or what?
You would upload them to basically the cloud, to our servers.
Okay.
So they'd be on your website, and that way you can link to them from any page or multiple pages. They're available for you to use whenever you want.
Yes, because they're in the cloud, then the other people from their location can get to them.
Right.
All right, and then there's a way, I forgot what I used before, to advertise this. And I actually did an ad campaign, but I forgot what I used to do an ad campaign. But it'll show up as a sidebar on either, I think it was a Facebook ad campaign.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with it, but go ahead.
So anyway, what I did when we did this this event at our local church for Bradshaw's Las Vegas meetings. Okay, we advertised that with a budget on Facebook, and those people who we targeted their demographics would show up on their as a sidebar that they could click on. If they clicked on it, then it would bring them to our site.
Right.
That's within Facebook.
Right.
That advertising.
Right.
But it brings you to your site. So you put in the site that you want to come to. So yeah, it has to be within Facebook. But since we're doing this, I don't see why we couldn't use our page, or a sub-page to direct them to, and do an ad campaign that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and use that in conjunction with the shortcut redirector config, where you can put in a shorter, you can have your domain, mychurch.com/ whatever your term is, and it'll go directly to that page, and you can just use that in Facebook and tell Facebook that's the page you want it to go to.
All right, are you planning on doing, let's say, more advanced presentations on a tutorial where we can go online and pull that tutorial and then review it?
Check our website, because we've done a lot of stuff like that already. We do webinars every fourth Thursday of the month. We do a webinar, and we cover a whole gamut of subjects. We do some complex stuff. We do some really simple stuff. So that would be a good place for you if you check out our help website, help.adventistchurchconnect.com.
Help, okay. And that's archived? Some of this stuff is archived?
Yep, yeah, all of it's archived.
All right, so that's help.churchconnect.com?
help.adventistchurchconnect.com. I believe that should also be on the cover of the booklet that was handed out as well.
Ah, very good.
That address is on there.
Appreciated your help.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Hi, I just have a quick question. I am just now kind of taking over some of the responsibilities of the website.
Okay.
And I wanted to see if you could double check and just see if our website is already running on the Adventist Church Connect
Sure.
domain.
Let's take a look.
Set up, or if I need to possibly convert it.
What is the, well, let's see. We'll start at the beginning here. And this is in Georgia-Cumberland?
Yes.
What is the name of the church?
Atlanta North Church. Atlanta North.
Atlanta North. There we go. You do not have a site yet. Well, technically you do. Let's see.
We have a site, but I don't know if it's what you're showing us to in troubleshooting.
Atlanta North 22.adventistchurchconnect.org is your actual site. Let's see what it takes us to. Probably, yeah. This is your site that you currently have?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, we don't have a site set up with you on our system at this point because you have your own site. So you can get one. It's not a problem. What you'll want to do is you'll want to go to AdventistChurchConnect.com, and you'll just want to go to the sign up, just kind of what I did. Put in Georgia-Cumberland, find your church in the list, and just fill this out. This area here that says your information, this is literally your information. So if you're going to be the web administrator, go ahead and put your information here. If you're the communication director or webmaster or whatever you feel best fits you, your name, email address, phone number, address, and then the next section down is for the pastor's information, which is already somewhat filled out there. You go ahead and finish filling that out. And then towards the end here, you'll select, you'll choose your template, whatever template you want. Now, this is not set in concrete. You can choose a template today and change your mind tomorrow. And it's easy to apply a different template to your site. It's a piece of cake, actually.
How do we keep our domain that we currently have? We want to keep the Atlanta North Church domain.
Yeah, that's actually great. What you'll do is, let me actually take a look here. I want to actually look at your domain name and see how it's structured here for just a second. All right, so well, unfortunately, this isn't going to really help us. EasyWeb.net, I don't know what company that is. Let's see, does it give us a name?
Now, there is a webmaster contact linked from our website. I guess whoever was running it in the past kind of had him do everything. So
Yeah.
maybe I can reach out to him.
Okay. Yeah, you'll want to do that and find out, get as much information as you can from that person, especially with concerning the domain name. You don't want to lose that domain name. Because two things can happen. Either you can lose it and somebody else can pick it up, or you can lose it, you'll have to rebuy it. Worst case scenario, and I've seen this happen, you'll lose your domain name and somebody else will pick it up and it'll be a gambling company, or worse yet, a pornography company.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen, and it's really bad when that happens. There's no way you're going to get that name back, and your church website is just slandered.
So I'll figure that out before we start with you all.
Right. Well, you could actually go ahead and sign up with us and start working on the site. You would have this domain name to work with to begin with.
Okay.
Just to get you going, get started. You can start building your site, making it look the way you want, get the content on there in place, and at the same time, you could be working on getting your domain name switched over. So
Okay.
then when you get your domain name, bam, you're back up and running instantly. So.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah, see much of air running around there. Not right there. I guess that's it.
Is he done?
I guess so.
Is that everybody?
I think so. It looks
Thanks,
so.
Lonny.
Hey, you're so welcome. This was a lot of fun.
Yay. Next time we want to bring you here.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. We can do
Okay.
that.
Great. Thanks.
Yep, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.